are new, right? Okay, how come this is blocking? Can I see you now? Okay, I can see you now. My contact hours, if you look at one of the handouts I gave you, it gives you the contact details. This handout here, can you see this handout? If you look at this handout, it tells you the lecture times are Mondays 16 to 18, Tuesdays 16 to 17. Yes? The example classes are 5 to 6 on Tuesdays, but this week we will not have example classes because it's the first week of lessons. Alright, the example classes will start next week from week 2, right? And these are my contact details. This is my office number. This is my phone number. A Zoom. I don't know whether you know something called Zoom. Have you heard about this before? No? You know what Zoom is? Ah, come on, guys. Zoom is like, it's a video conferencing software. It's like, if you want to talk to me through video, all you need to do is you open your browser and type this address. All right? You open your browser and type this address, right? And then it will take you through a number of steps, and you'll be able to talk to me through a video 24/7, right? I mean, this is, you can talk to me anytime, any day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Okay, it's cool, right? So it's like Skype, but it's better than Skype. You guys all know Skype, right? But this is better than Skype. Yeah. Okay. My office hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2 to 3. But you can see me any other time also. I'm usually in my office from Monday to Friday, 11 to 5, right? And also you can, if you want to see me during the weekends, that's fine with me, because I live very close to ATB, only 10 minutes walk. So if you want to see me during weekends, you can send me a time and a date, then I'll come and see you. Okay? And the best way to contact me is by email, of course. All of you know my email, of course. Right? This is the course website. So everything you want to know about this course is in this website. Right? Okay. By the way, I do not use I do not use Blackboard, so I don't put any material on Blackboard. So the only Blackboard is really a waste of time, waste of money. Don't you think so? Huh? No? Oh, come on, guys. Blackboard is just, it's, half the time it's not online. We have problems getting in. Anyway, whereas this website here, we can access anytime. There's no login restrictions, right? Like if you want to log into Blackboard, you need to type your username and password and all that, right? But the website I've given you is free. It's not. There's no login name. It doesn't ask you for anything. It's free. Okay. Right. Okay. The credit rating is 15. The prerequisites are statistical methods. How many of you have taken this course? 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Did you like this course? Yes, good. Good. It's all right. Good. Yeah, good. And also a prerequisite is statistical inference, which is a third-year course, but you actually don't need to this is actually not a prerequisite. I just put it because you may want to take this course in parallel to this course too. But it's not necessary. It's not necessary that you do take statistical inference, right? But anything that you need from statistical inference, I will teach you. So you don't need to take this unless you really want to. Any of you guys taking statistical inference? You guys, you are taking. Good. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. Now, this is the aims of the course: description, learning outcomes, books. Well, you don't need to buy any books unless you want to, because all the notes I will give you will be sufficient to prepare you for the exam, right? So there is no need to buy any textbooks for this course, right? And then, all right, assessment. This is important. The assessment is like this. There will be 5 quizzes, right? And the due dates are given here. The first quiz is due on the 8th of October, right? And I have already given you quiz 1. So if you look at one of the handouts I gave you, this one here, this is quiz problem 1. All right. I mean, you won't be able to do this yet, but you will be able to do this in a week or so time after I have taught you everything. Okay. So there will be 5 quizzes, and each of them will be worth 2% of your mark, of your total mark. So the 5 quizzes will be worth 10 marks. Yeah. And then there will be an in-class test on the 12th of November, Tuesday, and that will be worth 10 marks. All right. And the formulas you need to know for the in-class test are contained in this link, right? And then there will be a final exam in January next year, and that will be worth 80% of your mark. Okay, once again, the formulas you need to know for the exam are contained in this link. All right, guys. Any questions so far? So this is the plan for the assessment. With all of you want to get 100% right. Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to make clear what the assessment is gonna be. All right. Okay. All right. All right, guys. Now, next thing. Any questions so far, guys? Just let me know if you have any questions. Oh, before I go, I like to take attendance of every class. So, can you just sign your name here if it is here? It's not here. It's here. It's here. Okay. Okay. Right. Let me see. I'm trying to fish out something. Where's my paper? Oh. Right, there we are. Okay. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention is that all my lectures and all my example classes will be podcasted. I assume you know what a podcast is, right? Yes. So all my lectures and example classes will be podcasted. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't come. I mean, you should come to all my lectures. Otherwise, if you don't come, you get an email from me. saying why you did not come. Okay. So, okay. And yes, that's one thing I wanted to say. And other thing is, oh yeah, on top of podcasting, I will, after every session, I will scan all my handwritten notes and post them in the course website. You know where the course website is. I just showed you where the website is, right? So after every session, you should go to the course website. You will see the scanned version of everything I had written, right? So that means that there's no real need to copy down anything I write here, right? Okay. Okay. All right. Now, before I start, I've got some presents for you guys. I've got some. I will bring this every day so that you don't go asleep. At least you can come for this if you don't like my chocolate. If you don't like my, at least you guys can come for this. Yeah. Hello, how are you? Where are the other guys? You okay? You like chocolate? How are you? Good. All right. So make sure you come at least to get chocolates. All right. Now, okay, the title of the course is Extreme Values and Financial Risk. That's the title of the course. Okay. Now, there are two terms here. One is extreme values. The other is financial risk, right? And the two terms are related to each other because extreme values because extreme values cause, yes. Oh, you didn't get the notes? No. Oh, come on, I must have forgotten you. Sorry guys. Anybody else who didn't get the notes? Sorry, thank you. The two things are related. Because extreme values, for example, extreme values of stock markets or extreme values of stock returns cause financial risk, right? Whereas financial risk is caused by extreme values. So the two things, extreme values the term extreme values and the term financial risk are interconnected to each other, right? Okay. Now, some parts of this course will be on extreme values. All right. All right. Some parts of this course will focus on extreme values, and other parts of this course will focus on financial risk, right? And by the way, the printed notes that I just given you, it contains a lot more stuff than what I will talk about in the course, right? For the exam and also for the quizzes and also for the in-class test, you only need to study the scanned notes, only my handwritten notes, I mean, not what is contained in the printed notes, because the printed notes contains a lot more stuff that are actually not needed for this course. I've just given it to you because just for your knowledge, you may want to read it. All right? Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So I'll put this here up. Hopefully you can see this. Can you see this? Can you see this or not? Let me see. You can see. I mean, let me know if you can't see it. I mean, can you guys from there? Can you see the screen? Yes. Okay. Because sometimes I have this problem. Okay. The next question is, what is the use of this course, right? To explain the use of this course, I need to show you some pictures, right? Let me show you some pictures I brought. I think I've given you copies of that, because in the financial world there have been several disasters. Like, for example, this is known as the Black Monday, when the Dow Jones crashed from this level to this level on the 19th of October 1987. So this is a major financial crash, right? And this was known as the Japan stock price bubble. So it crashed around the end of 1989 up to 1992. As you can see, the stock has gone very sharply. It has gone down from this level to this level, starting around 89 up to 1992, right? And this is known as the dot-com bubble, when the Nasdaq index, right, crashed from 99 up to 2000. As you can see, there's a very sharp decline. There's a very sharp decline from 99 up to 2000, right? And this one is known as, this is the Asian financial crisis of July 97. So you can see at around in 97, it crashed from this level down to this level, right? And it started recovering afterwards, right? And this one is known as the Black Wednesday, when the exchange rate of Dutch mark to British pounds fell from this level to this level, right? So these are some examples of financial disasters that keep on happening every year or every few years, right? So the one purpose of this course is to try to try to minimize the chance of financial disasters from happening. All right, that's one purpose of the course. And another purpose of the course is to detect fraud. I don't know whether you guys. These are some of the other handouts I gave you today. All right, this. I mean, in the financial world, in finance, you deal with lots of money, not just hundreds of pounds or anything like that. You deal with millions or billions or trillions of dollars, right? And because of the amount of money that is involved, people are interested in profiting lots of money within a short period of time, right? And that is fraud. Right, that is illegal, and if you get caught, you can put into prison for a long time, right? You try to make a lot of money within a short period using illegal means, right? And there's a lot of fraudulent activities, like this guy here. He made 62 billion. 62 billion, guys. 62 billion through fraud. $62 billion, right? Then this guy, he is known as he worked for JP Morgan, known as the London Whale. He made 6.2 billion. I mean, his actions were the result of 6.2 billion. And this is Stanford. He's a well-known figure. I don't know whether you know him, but he's now serving a 110-year sentence for fraudulent activities, right? And there are so many people. Caught. This guy is responsible for the collapse of a company worth $100 million. And this guy is responsible for a fraud worth of $11 billion, and so on. And this guy in fraud worth $100 million, right, and so on. All right, so these are some of the, these are only a small selection of people caught doing fraud, engaging in fraudulent activities just for their own sake. So another way that this course can be used, right, is to right, is to determine or to identify fraudulent activities whenever they occur. So looking at the stock market, you'll be able to develop methods that actually determine if the result of stock market going up or down is the result of somebody doing something fishy, right? Okay, so that's another use of this course. There is a big area of statistics and computer science which is called machine learning. Are you guys, any of you here taking that course called machine learning? You're taking? Yeah. You can use techniques in machine learning to catch people, to detect patterns that could lead, that may say which are not normal, right? So you could detect patterns in the stock market, right? Meaning that these patterns are not normal, and then you could investigate those further and see if they correspond to fraudulent activities, right? Okay. All right, so these are two. All right, guys. The next thing I'm going to talk about is extreme values. So I'm going to start with, there are two parts, as I said before, there are two parts to this course. Extreme values. Right, so for the moment I will talk about extreme values part, and then I will talk about financial risk part. Then I may start, I will not do it in a correct order, because sometimes I will talk about extreme values, sometimes I will talk only about financial risk, sometimes I will mix the two, right? Okay. Right. What is an extreme value? How do you define that something is an extreme value, right? So for example, if there are 20 milliliters of rain today, that could be an extreme value. Or if the temperature is 40 degrees today, that could be an extreme value, right? But how do you actually define it? Is there a way to define it mathematically, right? Okay. Okay, I will discuss three definitions of an extreme value. The first definition, this is where this guy comes in. Can you see this? This is one of the handouts I gave you guys. If you look at this plot here, guys, this is some data, right? Here you have time going from 0 to 365. So that's the number days in a year. Okay. Now, one way to define an extreme value is to pick the largest point, right? So in this case, this is known as the definition . Definition 1, right? So according to this definition, the extreme value is the largest data point. Right. So in this case, the largest data point is that one. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. So I put it here. The next one. So this is another way of defining extreme value. So this is definition 2. Right? In this definition, what you do is, it's the same data as before, but here you draw a line. You draw a line across the data, and that line is considered to be high. So for example, if it is temperature data, I mean in Manchester it's very hard to have temperature more than 30 degrees. Was it normal? You're not from here, are you?
I am probably 3-4 degrees max.
Oh yeah, okay. So it's very hard to find temperatures more than 30 degrees. So you could draw a line. If this is temperature data, you could draw a line, say 30 degrees here, right? So this line could correspond to 30 centigrade, right? So anything that exceeds that line could be considered an extreme value. You understand, right? So any data value that goes above that line is an extreme value. So this line is known as the threshold. So in this case, the extreme values in this case, the extreme values are all data exceeding the threshold, right? So like I said, you should have temperature data, right, for Manchester, and if the line corresponds to say 30 centigrade, all the data values that are above 30 centigrade could be considered extreme values, right? Okay. All right. So that's the second way. That's definition 2. And definition 3 is this one. So definition 3 of extreme value is just an extension. It's an extension of the definition 1. Remember, in definition 1, we picked only the largest, right? But here, we don't pick the largest, but we picked the first few largest. So in this case, we picked the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth largest, right? So that's the difference, all right? So in this case, the extreme values are in this case, the extreme values are the first few largest data points, right? So in this case, the first 5 largest data points. Okay? Any questions so far, guys? You okay or what? All right. No questions. Just feel free to ask me if you have. I'm not gonna bite you if you ask me any questions. You can feel free to ask me because it's a small class, guys. So feel free. Oh, you sir, you have any questions?
No, not at
Come on. Okay, good. All right. So, first of all, because there are three definitions, I need to consider all of them. Okay, so I'm going to start with definition one. So I will now what I'm going to talk about is what is the probability distribution of the extreme value for each of the three definitions. So I'll start with definition one and try to derive. This is where your probability and mathematics comes in. Try to derive the distribution of the extreme value for each of the three definitions, right? Okay. So we have, so this thing here is your data, right? You have a data set, right? X1 to Xn that we are assuming they are independently and identically distributed with CDF F, right? CDF is cumulative distribution function, right? By definition one, okay, by definition, remember what does the definition one say? You should go back to definition one. This is your definition one, okay? By definition one, the extreme value is the largest data point. So what is the largest data point here?
Xn.
Right, this is the largest data point, of course. I mean, if you have a data set x1 to xn, the largest data point is the maximum, right? Is it not? Yes. Are you guys sleeping or what? Is it? Okay. So the largest point. Okay, and I'm gonna use the notation mn. So mn is the notation I will use. This is the notation I will use to denote the largest data point, or the extreme value in this case, right? Okay. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. The CDF of Mn is is the probability that Mn is less than or equal to x, which is the probability that okay, right? Now, can somebody tell me what this is? If the maximum is less than or equal to x, what can you say? Come on, guys. All right. If the maximum is less than or equal to x, then each of the x's has to be less than x. Yeah. Yes, sir. Do you follow this, sir?
Yeah, I'm fully.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what is this equal to? Because we are assuming that x1 to xn are identical and independent and identical. So you can write this as the you can write this in this form, right? That's because of using independence, right? Oh, sorry, it should be x1. Sorry, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so now this is equal to f of x because we are assuming each x has the city of f. This is also equal to f of x. So what you have is f of x power n. So what we have shown, guys, what we have shown so far is that the CDF of the extreme value under definition 1 is equal to the nth power of f. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. Don't be shy, guys. Feel free to ask me. Right, now what I mean by this is that when you should look at the picture that I sent you, that I showed you first, where okay, let me show that again. You should look at this picture here, right? Right. You should look at this picture. The largest point, right, is the largest value over a long period of time. See how many days you have? 365 days in a year. So people are usually interested in the largest value, like for example the largest temperature in 1 year or 10 years or 100 years or 1,000 years, so on, right? So they want to know how the extreme value behaves over large periods of time, right? Not just 10 days, but over very large periods of time, like a year or 10 years or 20 years or so on, like that. So that's what I mean by this, right? So people want to know how the distribution of mn is the extreme value, behaves when n is pretty large. Yeah. So what I mean by this, I mean we are all mathematicians, right? So speaking mathematically, what I mean is the following. We want to know what is the distribution of Mn as n is the period, approaches infinity, right? Okay. Now I just showed you a minute ago that the probability CDF of Mn is equal to this. So what we want to know is the limit as n goes to infinity of the probability that Mn is less than or equal to x, which is the limit as n goes to infinity of this, right? Now, can somebody tell me what is the limit of this? I know with all the math you have done, you should know what the limit of this is. You know? 0. Right? It's one of two values. It's 0 if fx is less than 1, right? Remember, fx is a CDF, so it must be a number between 0 and 1, right? Okay? So it's 0 if fx is less than 1, and it's 1 if fx is equal to 1, right? So the limiting distribution of Mn, right, is just either 0 or 1, which is not very useful. I mean, this is not a useful result, because the reason that's not a useful result is because it's either has 0 or 1. You can't really do anything with it, right? So how can you turn this into something that is useful? That's the next thing I'm going to look at. How can you turn this into something that is useful, right? So before I talk about that, I want to take can somebody tell me what the time is? Is there a time here?
It's 10 to 5.
10 to 5. Okay. Well, we have lots of time. Okay. Now, so now before I talk about this, or before I answer this question, right? Let me take you back to something you did maybe last year. I don't know. Or you must have done it a long time ago. Okay, suppose Okay, suppose you have a data, right, with from a population with mean mu and variance sigma squared, right? Now, you guys know that x bar is the sample mean, right? Okay. Now, if you take the limit, if you take the limit of x bar as n approaches infinity, what would you get? Would you know? I mean, you must have done this in your year 2 or year 1. Don't remember. Hmm? Hmm? 0? X bar is the sample mean, yeah. I'm taking the limit of x bar as n approaches infinity. It's equal to mu, right? I mean, the sample mean approaches the population mean as n approaches infinity. And this result is known as the SLLN, or the is known as the strong law of large numbers. You might recall. Did you guys did this long time ago? Or no? No? Oh, come on. How come you guys say no all the time? This result is known as the strong law of large numbers, which says that if you take the limit of the sample mean as n approaches infinity, what you get is the population mean. Right? Okay, and this result is not very useful because the limit that you have here is just a fixed number. Mu is a fixed number, so it's not a, practically speaking, it's not a very useful result. Just like here, the limit that you get here, guys, is either 0 or 1, right, which are fixed numbers, right? So it's not something very useful, right? Now, to make this into something useful, to make this into something more useful, what you do is the following. Instead of looking at the limit of x bar, you take the limit of x bar so you see what I've done here. I'm not taking the limit of x bar, but instead of taking the limit of x bar, I'm taking the limit of x bar minus mu divided by this, and then limit as n approaches infinity. Now I'm sure all of you know what this is. What's the limit?
0.
Oh, come on, guys. Why is it all the time 0? It cannot be 0 all the time. You must have seen this before, ages ago. Huh? No. How you say? You didn't see this in year 2? Come on.
I think I forgot.
You forgot? Ah, come on. Do you know something called CLT? What does it mean? Do you know something called CLT? Yeah. Okay. So this is known as the central This is known as the central limit theorem, guys. So, you see, the central limit theorem is a very powerful result in statistics. In fact, I mean, there's not a single area in statistics where the central limit theorem does not come, right? It's very practically one of the most powerful results in statistics, right? Now, how did we get there? How did we get to central limit theorem? We started from this. We started from the strong law of large numbers. Instead of taking the limit of this, we took a scaled version of it. So instead of looking at the limit of x bar, we subtract a constant and divide by another constant, and then take the limit, and we get the standard normal distribution and 0, 1. Right? So you see, the idea of going from this line to this line makes the result a lot more practically useful. And the way we did that is by scaling. That is, we scaled x bar by subtracting a constant and dividing by another constant. All right? So that's what I mean, the reason I have showed you is because to get from this to this, we have used scaling. We have used scaling. So getting back to this now, let's get back to this. Now we have a result here which is not useful, right? And we want to make this into something which is useful, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scale. I'm going to apply some scaling. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do, guys, next. I will give you a break if you are bored with this. You guys find me boring or what? No? Oh, not yet. Alright? Okay, so let me put this here. So instead of looking at the limit of this, I'm going to apply scaling. And I'm going to look at the limit of the probability that mn minus bn divided by an. Right, so you see what I'm doing here. See, what I'm doing is instead of looking at the limit of this, right, which gives you something which is not useful, right, I'm going to apply some scaling to this, and the scaling I have applied is this. That is, I've subtracted a constant which is called bn and divided by another constant which is an, right? Okay. So this is gonna be yeah, and this is gonna be, sorry, yeah. All right, if the maximum is less than or equal to this, then each guy has to be less. Now, using independence, because we know that x1 to xn are independent, you can write this as the limit Alright, that's using independence. Okay. Now this you can write as the limit. Now we know that this guy here is f okay. Remember, F, capital F, denotes the CDF of x1 to xn, right? Okay, and finally you can write this as right. Okay, you guys with me so far? Yes? All right. Now let me call this star. Right? The question is, what is star? Right? The question is, what is star? Is the question, right? Now I will so in other words, we are asking the question, you should take the limit of the thing as n approaches infinity. What do you get, right? Now, I will give you an answer in 10 minutes time. Can we take a break for 10 minutes? Yeah. You guys are tired, right? No. No. Let's take a break for 10 minutes, then I will give you the answer to this question. Right. You okay? How are you guys? All right.
Yeah.
Where's your friends? They're not coming to this class? You should ask them to come just take this class. How are you? Yeah. What other courses are you taking?
So this year,
Yeah.
I mean like all the course or
No, statistics.
yeah, statistics, because like all the courses are compulsory, I think. So that's the one to go is the green one and this one. I thought maybe number two. That's first like thousand. Is that going to be the same as the last year? Like last year, I I remember you.
Well, why are you taking it then?
It's compulsory. Like when I say yeah, I can't choose.
Yeah.
Why? You're right. Why is that? Yeah, yeah, but this year they decided not to have it for 30 years. No, it's not. It's some policy. I wasn't involved in the decisions. They told me that they decided to remove it from 30 years. I don't know why. But last year it ran very well. But you were there, right?
Yeah.
You can ask her. You asked her how it went last year.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they decided all of a sudden. That's why. But the 30th can still take this course. You know, they can still take this course as a 4th year option. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have one.
So you should ask all your friends to take this course. Because there's nothing stopping them from taking this course. It's just they get 15 credit, not rather than 10 credit. Like for the other courses, they only get 10 credit. You know what I'm saying?
So the code is not full start with 4, right? 4, 1, 0.
Yeah, 4, 1, 8,
Yeah, yeah,
1. How is it?
Well,
You're on the third year, right?
yeah, I'm on third year.
So you should ask your friends to take this course.
They're on the fourth year already. They've already taken it. They took it last year.
No, I mean the current students in the third year.
I took a gap year.
Oh, okay.
I took a gap year last year. I did a placement. So like, I wouldn't know anyone from last year. You know what I
Stop. Might pick the one. Hopefully by this Friday. Yeah, he needs us.
都苗苗，所以说全院都看你。
Alright guys, let's begin. Alright, so the question is, what is the limit in star? The star is given by this. So the answer to this question is given by what is known as the ETT. I will explain what that is in a minute. ETT stands for can you see this, guys? Sorry, just a minute. The ETT stands for the extremal types theorem, and it says the following. So right, the extremal types theorem is one of the classical results in extreme values theory, right? It says the following. Suppose right. Just let me finish writing it down, then I will explain. Right? Oh, did I do this correctly? Oh, yeah, it is correct. That's easier. Right, so this is I don't know whether you can see the whole thing or not, but this is the result that is known as the extremal types theorem, or short ETT. What it says is the following: that if the limit of this we are looking at the limit of this, right? If this limit exists, right, and is non-degenerate. When I say non-degenerate, I mean anything that is not of the form 0 or 1, and you get a 0 or 1 limit, that limit is known as degenerate limit. So anything that is not of the form 0 or 1 is non-degenerate, right? Okay? So if this limit here is a non-degenerate limit, which I call g of x, right, then g of x must be of the same type as one of the three I listed. So must be of the same type as this one, type 1, type 2, or type 3, right? And it has these three, they have their own names. This type is known as the Gumbel type. This is known as the Gumbel. This is known as the Gumbel type. And this is known as the Frechet. This is known as the Frechet type. And this is known as the Weibel type. Right? Okay. All right. So these are the three different types, right? And once again, the non-degenerate, this term non-degenerate means that if the limit is not of the form 0 or 1, it is non-degenerate. If the limit is of the form 0 or 1, then it is degenerate, right? And okay, let me explain now before I do some examples. Do you have any questions so far, guys? Feel free to ask me any questions. I mean, I'll try to support as much as I can. If you have any questions, let me know. Right now, the next thing I want to talk about is the following definition. What does this term same type means, right? Right? The definition of same type is that if you have two CD of G1 and G2, they are of the same type. If this is the case, that G2 of X is equal to G1 of AX plus B for all X, where A must be a positive number and B can be any real number, right? Okay. So for example, example 1. Suppose G1 of X this. Suppose G2 of x is this. Now, are these of the same type? Yes or no? Hello, guys.
Yes.
Yes. Can you see why, guys? Because they are of the same type, because your A, in this case your A is 2 and your B is 3. So they are of the same type. Okay? Okay. Alright, let me give you another example. Are these of the same type?
No.
Why? Right, that's because in this case your A is -2, your B is +3, so they are not of the same type. A must be a positive number. Yeah? You guys follow? Yes? You okay, sir? Yeah. So these are just two examples on the same type. Okay? All right, now let's go back to this result here, extremal types theorem. The extremal types theorem says that if the limit exists, it says that if the limit exists, in other words, if the limit is star is what I said to you before. If the limit in star exists, then it must be of the same type as one of the three. The double type, Frechet type, or Weibull type, right? But what it doesn't say is that when does the limit exist, or how do we know which of the three limit exists, right? Is it going to be double, or is it going to be Frechet, or is it going to be Weibull, right? It must be one of them if it exists. The limit must be one of them. But how do you know which one of the three will be attained, right? So that's what I'm going to answer now. So let me explain. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the following. So the question is the following. So how to know which of the three limits is attained if there is a limit, right? So I'm going to answer this question right now. So the answer to the question is as follows. The first answer, type 1. Remember, type 1 is the Gumbel type. Will be attained if okay. I will explain in a minute. This notation here is omega of f. I will explain in a minute what it means, right? Just for the moment, just be patient. I will just be patient with me, okay? I will explain what this is in a minute. But what this says is that if the limit of this is equal to e of minus x, then the Gumbel type will be attained, right? So let me put this back. This is the Gumbel type. So this limit will be attained if this condition holds, right? Alright, and type 2 will be attained. Type 2, remember, type 2 is pressure type, will be attained if this condition holds, right? Where alpha is positive. Alpha must be positive. And finally, type 3 which is the Weibel type, sorry, the viable type, the viable type will be attained if this condition is true. Okay, all right. All right. Now, one thing I must say is that right. One thing I must make it clear is that there are three conditions I have listed. Condition 1 for the Gumbel type, condition 2 is for the Frechet type, condition 3 for the Weibel type. And only one of the three conditions will ever be satisfied. So for example, if the first condition holds, then you can be sure that none of the two following conditions will be satisfied. And if this condition is if this condition is true, then these two conditions will not be satisfied. And similarly, if this condition is true, then these two conditions will not be satisfied. Right? So that's what I meant by this. Okay. So now, before I do some examples, let me explain what W of f is. Because W of f right, W of f is known as the upper end point. Right, this is W, right? Formally, it is defined as this. It's the sup of x, set of all x's for which f of x is 1. Right? Is the supremum. I'm sure you know what. Don't be scared by sup or inf. I'm sure you know about sup and infa. I'm sure. So it's the supremum of the set of all x's for which the CDF of f, the CDF of f is strictly less than 1. Right? Okay. So for example, there's an easy way to find it. The easy way to, I mean, if you don't like working with supremums, right, the easy way to find W of f is to set f of x equal to 1 and then solve for x. So you solve this equation for x, and whatever you get for x will be the W of f, right? So for example, let me give you a couple of examples, or 2 or 3. Do you know this CDF? What is this distribution known as? Hello guys. Come on guys. Is it too dark, guys? It's known as the exponential distribution, right? Do you remember the exponential? Right. So to find the W of f, you set this equal to 1. So this means that e of minus x is 0. This means minus x is minus infinity. So x is infinity. So W of f is plus infinity. Right. Alright, that is how you will find W of f. Right? You just set the CDF equal to 1 and solve for x. Right? Another example. Example 2. This is known as the Pareto distribution, and we will come across it later. To find the W of f of this, you set this equal to 1, which implies that 1 over x is 0. So x equal to plus infinity. So W of f is plus infinity. Right? So these are two examples on these are two simple examples on how to find W of f, right? Okay, so all you have to do is set f of x equal to 1 and solve for x, and whatever the solution you get for x is the W of f, right? Alright, now are you guys ready to go home or what? Or you want to do some examples? Come on guys, what's the time now? Huh? 45. So okay. Alright, let's do one or two examples, guys. Come on guys, I can buy you more chocolates tomorrow. Alright. So example 1. Let me see, just give me a sec, guys. Which of the three this is, if you look at quiz problem 1, this is the kind of question that I'll ask you, right? Now, for a given f, for a given CDF, you need to determine which of the three max domains that it belongs to. When I ask you this kind of question, what you need to do is you need to check the three conditions, right? So if you look at, you should go back to the three conditions. Here we are. These are the three conditions. So if this condition is satisfied, then f belongs to the Gumbel domain. If this condition is satisfied, then f belongs to the Frechet domain. If this condition is satisfied, then f belongs to the Weibel domain. Okay? So let's start with this one here. Now we know, we already checked that we know that W of f is equal to infinity. Yeah? We just did an example, right? Showing that for this distribution, W of f is plus infinity. So what we need to find is the limit as t goes to infinity of we need to find this guy here, right? I mean, this is the condition I'm trying to check, guys. All right, so this will be the limit right? Okay. Now what does this simplify to? The 1 and the 1 cancel, the 1 and the 1 cancel. So what you get? You get the limit and this becomes right, this becomes this, right. Now can this be equal to e of minus x? Hello guys, come on guys. How? This will be equal to e of minus x if gamma t is equal to 1, right? Right, hence the Gumbel max domain is attained. In other words, right? All right. So this is a typical example on the max domain. The quiz problem 1, which I just gave you, you should be able to do this now. We have covered the material for quiz 1. So try to do it. It should be independent work. So you're not supposed to consult with your friends. Try to do it by yourself if you can. Okay. So if you see, do you guys follow this example? Yes. So for a given f, I just check condition 1, and it turns out it is satisfied. So therefore, neither of the two conditions, neither of the two remaining conditions will be satisfied. Alright? Because as I said before, only one of them will ever be satisfied. So since condition 1 is satisfied, the limit, the max domain must be gamma. And that's what I have to do. Okay guys? I think all of you are tired now. It's time to go home and take a rest. I'll see you guys at 4 o'clock tomorrow, right? Don't remember, just don't forget. Let's bring you more chocolates. You should come at 4 o'clock. Yeah. Yeah, I will take attendance as usual. Where's attendance on the contract? Okay. Also ask your friends to come also, especially the third year student. You are the third year, right? No, this guy here. Hello. You are the third year, right? You can ask your friends to take this course. Okay. You also, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask them. Yeah.
Alright. You should like this course, then you can ask them.
Yeah.
Alright guys, any questions you guys have now on the stuff we did today? Hello sir, do you have any questions on the stuff we did? No? No? You guys? No? You don't need to print money. I will print every time. So you don't need to print. You guys have any questions on the stuff we did today? Yes? No? No? What about you, sir?
Fine.
What about you, sir?
Tomorrow, I'll have to tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Alright. Alright, man. See you tomorrow.
Was it 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Yeah,
4 to 5 tomorrow.
yeah, 4 to 5, man.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 to 5 tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.